Have you ever met someone the whole world ignored, only to discover they were carrying the greatest gift of all? What if the person everyone called worthless became the only hope for a family that money couldn't save? Today's story is about a homeless boy, a desperate billionaire father, and a miracle that no doctor could explain. Stay until the end, because this unforgettable act of kindness might change the way you look at people forever. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't come from expensive hospitals or famous experts. Sometimes they come from the kindest heart in the room. And when this story reaches its ending, you'll understand why kindness is worth more than all the money in the world. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Library. If stories that restore your faith in humanity inspire you, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more true-to-life stories that remind the world kindness still exists. 11-year-old Ethan had spent nearly 2 years living on the streets of Chicago. After losing both of his parents in a tragic accident, he bounced between shelters until there was nowhere left to go. Every morning he collected empty bottles, helped people carry groceries, and shared whatever little food he found with stray dogs and hungry people he met. Many people walked past him without even making eye contact. Some treated him as if he were invisible. But Ethan never stopped smiling. His mother had always told him, "Never let the world steal your kindness. It's the one thing nobody can take from you." Across the city lived billionaire businessman Richard Lawson. He owned luxury hotels, private jets, and more houses than he could count. Yet none of it mattered anymore. His 10-year-old son, Noah, had been lying in a hospital bed for months with a rare illness that left doctors completely puzzled. The best specialists from around the country had tried everything. Every test came back with more questions than answers. Slowly, Noah stopped talking, stopped smiling, and barely opened his eyes. One rainy afternoon, Richard walked out of the hospital feeling completely defeated. For the first time in his life, money couldn't solve his problem. As he sat on a park bench with tears in his eyes, Ethan quietly walked over. "Sir," he said gently, holding out half of his sandwich, "you look like you need this more than I do." Richard looked up in surprise. The boy offering him food clearly had almost nothing himself. "You should keep it," Richard replied. Ethan smiled. "My mom used to say food tastes better when it's shared." Richard accepted the sandwich, and for the first time in weeks, someone made him smile. As they talked, Richard found himself telling Ethan about Noah. "I'd give away everything I own just to hear my son laugh again." Ethan listened carefully. "Can I meet him?" he asked. Richard hesitated. Doctors, professors, and specialists had already failed. What could a homeless boy possibly do? Still, something about Ethan's sincere heart convinced him to say yes. The next afternoon, Ethan entered the hospital wearing donated clothes from a local shelter. Nurses looked confused as Richard personally escorted the boy into Noah's room. The room was silent except for the steady beeping of medical machines. Ethan slowly walked beside Noah's bed. Instead of asking questions or giving advice, he simply sat down. Then he reached into his backpack and pulled out a small worn stuffed bear. "I've had this since I was 5, Ethan whispered. "Whenever I was scared, I held it close." He gently placed the bear beside Noah. "I think you need him more than I do." For several minutes nothing happened. Then Ethan began telling stories about sleeping under the stars, feeding stray puppies, and dreaming about becoming a teacher someday. He talked about hope. He talked about never giving up. Most of all, he talked like Noah could hear every word. Then something incredible happened. A tiny smile appeared on Noah's face. One finger moved. A nurse gasped. Richard jumped to his feet. For the first time in months, Noah slowly opened his eyes. "Dad," he whispered weakly. Richard broke down crying. Doctors rushed into the room, unable to believe what they were seeing. Over the following days Noah became stronger. His appetite returned. He started speaking again. While medicine continued helping his body recover, every doctor admitted that his emotional turnaround had begun the moment Ethan visited. One physician quietly told Richard, "Sometimes healing begins when someone gives a patient a reason to fight." Richard never forgot those words. When Noah was finally discharged, the first thing he asked was, "Can Ethan come home with us?" Richard smiled. "I was hoping you'd ask." Instead of simply giving Ethan money, Richard legally became his guardian while helping him reconnect with relatives who had been searching for him. Ethan moved into a warm home, enrolled in a great school, and finally had a bedroom of his own. But Ethan never forgot where he came from. Every weekend he and Noah visited shelters together. They handed out blankets in winter. They served meals. They read books to children who had nowhere else to go. Soon Richard created a foundation in Ethan's parents' memory. It built shelters, funded hospitals, and provided scholarships for homeless children across America. When reporters asked Richard what inspired such a massive charity, everyone expected him to mention his wealth or his business success. Instead, he pointed toward Ethan. "This young man taught me something every billionaire should know. Kindness is the greatest investment anyone can ever make. Money can build buildings, but compassion changes lives." Years later, Ethan graduated at the top of his class and fulfilled his dream of becoming a teacher. Noah grew into a healthy young man who volunteered beside him every chance he got. Whenever people asked how two boys from completely different worlds became brothers, Noah would smile. "My brother didn't save me with medicine," he would say. "He saved me by reminding me I wasn't alone." Their story spread across the country, inspiring thousands of people to look beyond appearances and see the humanity in everyone they met. The next time you pass someone who seems forgotten by the world, remember Ethan. You never know what kindness they carry inside their heart. A smile, a meal, a few encouraging words, or simply taking time to care can become the miracle someone has been waiting for. Because in the end, the richest person isn't the one with the biggest bank account. The richest person is the one whose kindness leaves the world better than they found it. And every single one of us has the power to become that person.